Hey y'all, it's me, Lynn Daniel, on my Buddy Zone channel. Alright, so I'm trying to erase my whiteboard because I want to share some things with you all today. This is the whiteboard that I got last week. Make sure it's up here tight. Yeah, I think it is. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about some teacher tips that I've gleaned from some of my cool teacher friends who know a whole lot about classroom management and all of that stuff. So I just watched the interview with Miss Tanner and Reynolds, the cool Mr. Reynolds. CJ. So how you all doing? Good interview. Sparked my thoughts. The first thing I want to talk about is, like, how do you start the year? Let me focus. Start the school year. How do you do that? Okay, so Miss Tanner talked about that she doesn't have traditional expectation meetings, lessons, and things like that, that she starts by building relationships. So you can build relationships with your students, and you can do that through she talked about dialogue, like Socratic dialogue, and different discussion circles and things, social issues or current events for discussions. And she also talked about getting to the emotional needs of students, their social emotional development. And so you can use that as a topic to lead in discussion and to help build and foster trust in those relationships. So build relationships with your students based on their psychological, emotional, developmental needs. And she teaches high school. Miss Tanner, she teaches high school, but this works as well in middle school, because middle school, 7th grade, they are growing, changing, developing physically, emotionally, psychologically. Their bodies are changing right before their eyes. And many of them still carry themselves like little children, and they soon realize that they can't do that anymore. And so their psychological, emotional, and developmental needs have to be addressed. And you can do that through your dialogues and discussions that help to build the relationships with your students. Another thing that was discussed is open seating. And open seating can have a format, though. Open seating works. I like open seating. I use it not necessarily right off the bat when school starts, but I have used open seating in the past. Open seating can have some structure to it, because at the start of the school year, the needs are routines. Establishing routines is very important, because when you have routines, it builds insecurity, and it minimizes like not knowing what to do. So, and it secures students in an established way of doing things, like regimens and rituals. Some people call them rituals. So with open seating, you still need some routines to establish order and respect. So maybe you can have something like first come, first serve. So if you have a sofa in your room and you're wanting to sit on the sofa, then it's a first come, first serve seating policy. And maybe other protocols, like it's not you move, you lose. That is your seat for the day or for the week, or however you set that up. And then with with open seating and any kind of seating at the start of the school year, because that's what we're talking about, the start of the school year, you still have to learn your students' names, because I've gotten good at this, because I have some friends all over the world, really, but initially back in the 1990s, I had some friends in Virginia who wrote this little bitty book with all these tips in it. And one of the things they said is teachers should learn their students' names early on for these reasons, because it not only does it help you to start connecting to your students, but it helps you to identify when they are present, when they are absent, because then when they are absent, the day they return, you can engage them in a welcome return, like, oh, I missed you yesterday, glad you're here. And so learning their names and learning their faces, putting names and faces together, has a lot of benefits. So it reinforces trust and camaraderie, or concern, I'll put, so I don't misspell camaraderie. It lets students know that you're getting to know them. They are just not a number in your room. And the way you can learn their names is learn their names through interacting with their work, through interaction. Okay, so learn their names through interaction with work, with student work, with lists or photos like attendance lists. Our school has attendance photos. I know a lot of schools have that now, because one of my friends, that's how he learns names, through the attendance. They have seating charts on their attendance, and students' faces and names are shown, and so he would print those off, and he would memorize every student. And I think he said they had like 125 students on their team, and he would learn every name in that first week of school. So yeah, I just kind of learned that from him. But yeah, and my friends from Virginia really, you know, they have, I'm going to find that book, and I will share that book with you all. It's over here on my shelf. But you need to know their names, because it reinforces trust, but it also protects the teacher. It protects us, because well, in a lot of ways, especially when it comes to assignments, and sometimes you have students with the same names, and you know, but once you start having them do writing samples or different samples, and you can start learning their penmanship, and you start learning their voice, and you start learning their habits, whether they complete the work, the quality of the work. And then you also kind of get a bigger picture of their approach to learning. Then you have something specific to speak on when you do, if you do have concerns or issues